whether you've been in the business for 20 years or you're just starting out new in the business, you need to understand what your role is, and generating leads is number one.
Welcome to the Realtors Conspiracy podcast, where we are dedicated to unraveling the secrets to real estate success. I'm your host, Maude Léger, and each week we bring you insights from top realtors, entrepreneurs, and innovators, sharing their success stories, mindset, processes, motivations, and the key to their success. Join us every Monday for a new episode and discover how to crack the code to success and take your real estate business to the next level. Don't miss out on the opportunity to unlock your potential. This week, I'm speaking with Andrew Kulakowsky from EXP Realty, and today's chat is all about lead generating. Andrew has become a pro at drawing clients in through his consistent use of video and engaging content. He's got a knack for figuring out which platform and which strategies works best for him and how to stick with them. Eager to learn his secrets to staying ahead in the real estate game? Let's get to my chat with Andrew. Hi Andrew, thanks for joining us on the episode today. Tell us, what is the key to your success?
Thank you, Maude, for having me. Really appreciate it. The recipe for my success, I mean, I think ultimately everybody has a different definition of what success is. You know, at the end of the day, I think longevity in this business is a very, very difficult thing. It's not an easy business to be in for a long time. So one thing I can say, I'm going in my 7th year. So, you know, I would say the recipe to my success would be consistency. Ups and downs, no matter what, the consistency of doing the work is probably the biggest thing. And in terms of my success, I would have to say that's the number one contribution.
Love it, love it. And you
Yeah.
said 7 years. We talked about that, where you've seen the ups and downs. In 7 years so far in the business, what would be the one thing that you learned that is a must do for you, for your business to be successful in terms of
In,
your consistency?
yeah. For sure. So the number one thing is, I think we all have to realize and understand right off the hop that 95% of our business as real estate agents or even entrepreneurs is that we have to lead gen. We have to lead generate. Okay, that's the number one thing. And I say my ratio is 95%, because if you're not prospecting, if you're not generating leads, then you literally have nothing. You know, you can go through the motions, you can do all the work, but at the end of the day, if you're not generating those leads, really, what are you doing it for? So I would say that's a very, very, very important thing, whether you've been in the business for 20 years or you're just starting out new in the business. You need to understand what your role is, and generating leads is number one.
Nice, very true.
Yeah.
What are key activities that you do that generate leads?
So, you know, they've changed through the years. You know, in 7 years, believe it or not, I mean, even social media is different, right? Like when I started, you know, Facebook was a lot more common use, where Instagram was just kind of rolling out. So, you know, obviously social media is extremely important in business today. We already know this. And whether, it doesn't matter what type of platform that you're on, you have to be there. And if you're not there, you're going to miss out. You don't have to be on all of them, but it is important to pick one or two that you are comfortable with, that you enjoy using, and double down on them and make sure that you're there and you're there consistent. Again, going back to consistency.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, a lot of my lead gen has been, you know, from social media, definitely. A big part of my last couple of years, I've shifted gears and doubled down on video. Created a YouTube channel, Living in Niagara is the name of the channel. My team is called Living in Niagara Real Estate Group now. But that has been big for me. That has been big. Being in front of where people are and what they're looking for is very smart, and you have to be intentional with it. So creating video on what people are actually searching for. Okay, that's been a big contribution to you know, what I'm doing for lead gen now, and then of course working my sphere of influence, past repeat customers too, is or clients is a big one as well.
Love it. Let's talk about videos. A lot of realtors get into videos and they don't know what to talk about. So Where do you go? How do you find out what people are really looking for?
So there's a couple different things. And again, this wasn't something that just, came to me right away, right? I mean, I am a student of the business, so you're constantly studying who is doing what and who's doing it well. Okay. So I'm not going to say I knew this right away, but you quickly learn that doing videos about the buying process, uh, mortgage rates, home inspections, honestly, they don't work. They don't generate leads. All they're doing is you're providing content. And millions and millions of people are providing the exact same content. So what you want to do is you want to think smart and go, okay, well, what are people asking in Google? Because Google, as you know, is a powerful machine. So
Yes.
go to Google and search in the Google tab bar and say, hey, first time home buyers looking in Niagara, or what are real estate prices in the city that you're living in, and start to search that out and start to do some research on what people are actually searching for. And then once you know what they're searching for, then you create videos around those titles.
Very cool.
Okay. And then you optimize and you perfect. You
Then
keep
you have,
Absolutely. But that's my biggest piece of advice is figuring out what people are looking for and getting in front of people before. So it's a warm introduction. It's providing value. That's another thing, is provide the value to that individual. At that point in time, it's a warm lead, and they end up reaching out and they kind of already know you because they've seen your video.
that's amazing. Very true. You mentioned your team. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
you're teaching all of that to your team and helping them, mentoring them through that. What kind of process do you have there to make sure everybody on the team is on the same line as you?
Yeah, great question. So ultimately, the reason I was able to bring on a couple of people to the team was because of my YouTube channel, because of the amount of leads that I was having coming in. I sat down and I said to myself, if I double down on this and focus on it, I'm just going to keep getting more and more leads. And obviously, I can't take all those leads. I can't manage them all. So how do I do it? I need to scale. So, obviously found a couple agents who I knew that were looking for some help with marketing and lead generation, and sat down, and ultimately both of them joined the team. One with a lot of experience and one with very little experience. But that's what I said. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Some people have, different strengths and different weaknesses, right? So I was able to kind of provide that building block for them, provide them leads, and ultimately I oversee and manage. And I still obviously take on my own leads as well, but make sure that we're not missing anything and nothing's falling through the crack, and that everybody's, every lead that comes in is looked after.
Yeah, does everybody from your team also participate in the videos, or you are the main creating the leads?
Yeah, so no, that I no to your point, the young guy I have, he's a little stronger in video, and he's kind of taken on his own video and doing his own stuff on TikTok and whatnot. The other person, not so strong on video, and she knows that, and that's where, again, strengths and weaknesses. I can step in and be the face, be the marketing guy, and be the guy that's going to help drive those leads and do those videos and help her business as well, right? So again, I always say, do what you do best and double down on it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Leverage always your team, yourself, how you can help them.
For sure. That's the name of the game.
In terms of consistency, how or and doubling down, how
Yeah.
do you set yourself up for success?
So it's discipline. Obviously, without discipline and knowing and having a structured schedule in place and knowing your day to day, I mean, this business you can get away from it very quick. There's a lot of distractions in life, as you could imagine. And so I would say having the discipline to structure my Monday through Friday and my Monday through Saturday, and knowing when I come in, I'm going to have my schedule, knowing that I'm going to time block 1 hour for prospecting, 1 hour for follow up, and 1 hour for social media, and blah 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 blah. So I think discipline, to your point, or to answer your question, is probably the number one thing that I would say you have to have to maintain the consistency to keep doing the job.
Yeah, the more you put in, the more you'll get the results, the more you'll be motivated to put
In theory, you're absolutely right.
Very. That's really good. That actually makes me think, in terms of you being in business for 7 years, seeing the ups and down again, what kind of challenges have you faced that taught you valuable lessons?
Yeah, so coming into the business, the market back in 2017, the market was not quite at what it was now. It was, I would say, a little bit better, kind of just on what you would, the up and up. And then by 2019, things started to take off. So, kind of full 60s. So when I started, it was kind of a feeling of what I'm feeling now, where, it's harder to sell. Homes aren't selling themselves. You have to prospect to get new clients. Pricing homes and product and market knowledge is extremely important. So it's multifaceted now, where you have to be educated, you have to be smart, you have to be, you really have to work at it. Where, a couple of years ago, I'll tell you, anyone and their brother could honestly sell a home. I hate to say it, but that was the reality. You could put a for sale sign up front and you're going to have buyers at least knocking on your door, right? So I think there's just a big difference of what the market was to what it is now, and the fact that you have to really go back to the basics and stick to the basics, really, no matter what market you're in. And you will succeed in a market like this if you stick to the basics, even when the market is high or at an up.
Yeah, very cool.
You
Very
know?
true too. How do you adapt to those changing markets in terms of your business, of how you become successful or grow?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's definitely hard because it's so up and down. I mean, ultimately now with team members, it's about keeping them motivated. Obviously, making sure they understand that we're doing everything in our power to make sure we're still generating leads. I'm constantly changing things, doing things to, enhance and push the needle, and push the business forward, to make sure that they know and that my clients know that we're evolving with the way the market is evolving and the way the world is evolving with business. So, making changes and not getting stagnant mode is probably the biggest thing that I'm doing in this down market right now, you know.
Yeah, I totally get that.
It's yeah, it's hard. It's not easy though. Don't, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah, definitely not easy right now in this market, and anytime really. It's not easy to have your own business and
No.
support other people too.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
You mentioned evolving and you mentioned being a student of the business. I love that. That's kind of like the question that what is the role for you of continuing education? How do you keep learning? Where do you look for professional development in terms of business or growth or real estate?
Yeah, so a couple of things here. Obviously, making sure you're constantly involved in the latest training. So, December 1st, we have new Ontario real estate rules now with Tressa. So making sure, that you've got your finger on the pulse and that you understand all of that stuff, making sure your team understands all that stuff. So all the regulatory stuff, obviously very, very important to make sure you stay on top of your game. And then when it comes to, personal development, I'm a big believer in investing in yourself. I'm not afraid to, spend money in different trainings and webinars and all of that stuff. That's one big thing that I try to do, and I pick and choose where I spend that money, but I'm constantly investing in myself to, like I said, I don't have all the right answers, and I'm constantly learning. And so it's important that you be part of this stuff and learn from other people. Attending events is a big one. With our brokerage now, we're very fortunate being such a global brokerage and growing at a rate that we are. We're part of all of these amazing events with amazing agents and professionals and entrepreneurs and motivational speakers all around the world. And going to these events has been, invaluable, really. So very fortunate that that I'm part of EXP Realty and that they offer that. So that's another big added
Yeah,
bonus.
that's huge. That's huge to
Yeah.
keep learning and have that mentality to want to keep growing.
Keeps you motivated. You go to these events and you leave and you're full of you're full of fire, right? And you want to rock and roll, and you kind of just like reset the clock and keep rocking and rolling. So that's a big thing. I try to attend as many events as I can.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We have a section of the podcast where it's rapid fire questions.
Uh-oh.
Quick, fun questions, either for new realtors, helping them understand the business, or realtors that are experienced that need to learn new things and continue evolving. So are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Some of it is stuff we always talk about, but that's okay. We can
Sure.
repeat. What is your best marketing strategy?
Video, if
Love it.
that makes sense. Video. Get yourself in front of video.
Love it. Your best social media tactic for real estate growth?
Tactic for real estate growth would be making sure you build your brand through you. Be authentic as you can. Your brand is you, no matter where you hold your license. So that would be my number one thing.
That's super cool. Love it. Most effective social media platform?
You know what? I don't think there's a solid answer for that. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. Double down on a platform that you feel works best for you. You can be successful on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever works for you, but make sure you perfect it, work at it, understand it, and leverage it. And that's what I recommend.
Amazing. Key
Yeah.
tips. Must have tech tool for you?
Must have tech tool. You know what? I would say we'll dumb this down and make it simple. It's a phone. Call this a tech tool. But nowadays with a smartphone, you've got video. The video quality from these is amazing. What you can do with it is amazing. So I would say a phone, any type of video source that you can, create your message, build your brand from. That would be my number one thing. And don't take it for granted.
Oh, that's very cool. Love it. Your advice for new realtors?
Stay in your lane. Don't get caught up in all the noise. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on out there. And there's a lot of egos in this business. I'm going to quote my Canadian president because I love this quote. When he said it the first time, I said, I'm going to remember this. Your ego is not your amigo. Okay. Your
So,
ego is not your friend. Remember
yeah,
that. Any new
yeah.
agent, that's my advice.
Cool. What's your top income generating activity?
Top income generating activity would be, well, prospecting, but ultimately, I would say my YouTube channel has been, over the past 13 months, has been my number one income
Income.
revenue. Yeah, yeah.
Ah. And then which non-income generating activities should all realtors drop?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man, should you drop that doesn't generate revenue? You know what? I mean, I think I would say it's more not dropping, but changing your message, understanding the content that you're putting out there. You need to create value.
Love.
Okay. Create value. And if you're not creating value, then that's what you have to drop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly the
Yeah.
process you explained earlier.
Yes.
Love.
Yeah.
Very cool. Full
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
How do you win more listings?
So there's a process I have. It's taken time to build that process, obviously in time, because you have the resources, as the longer you do this, you have the time, money, and resources to be able to create a process. But my video has really helped me. My video marketing background now has really helped me. Even though I do videos, my videos, a lot of them are targeted or hyper targeted towards buyer clients. You'd be amazed when a seller jumps on your website or YouTube channel and watches your videos and what it can convey. It's number one, it shows them your communication skill. It shows them your mannerisms, how you interact, your dedication, your consistency to actually, number one, getting in front of a camera, going to a studio, creating the video, creating the content, and putting it out there consistently. That in itself speaks volume.
Love it. Very cool. It's a sales tool to attract buyers, to attract your sellers. It's well-rounded.
That's correct. Yeah, you got it.
Nice. And the last one, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Best advice that I've ever received. So there's a couple different ones. One that's coming to my mind right now, and it's gonna go back to video, is just hit record.
Ah, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Think Media. I forget his name off the top of my head. Anyway, he's Sean Connell, I believe his name is, for Think Media. I've been following him for many years, not real estate related, but video related. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, he says that just hit record. And I'll tell you, at first it seems daunting, but the more you do it, the more you practice, you become desensitized by fixating on what you look like and what you're saying. And more or less, things start to flow natural. And when it goes on video, people are like, wow, you're like a pro. It's practice. So that would be my biggest piece of advice is focus on video and don't be scared.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
One fun question too. Everyone has their own definition of success. What is your definition of success? How do you define it for yourself?
You know what? Obviously, being able to provide for my family, being able to pay my bills every day, every month, going away on vacations, live a good life and not worry about, having to pay the next bill. Financial success, but also being happy in life, I think is very, very important. And it's not all about money, but money definitely helps the cause. But for me, it's really about that.
Freedom and worry less.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I got into this business.
That's amazing. And then tell us now, where do we find you? Where do we find all those videos, your YouTube, your Instagram?
So Instagram, Andrew K Realtor, at Andrew K Realtor is my Instagram handle. And my channel is Living in Niagara. So very, very simple. You're going to see my new branding. My team is now called Living in Niagara Real Estate Group. So it corresponds with my channel. But that's where you can find me. And then from there, you go down the rabbit hole of all the different platforms and videos and everything I've done. So
and watching and learning about everything you do.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm sure so many realtors will get value out of this.
Thank you, Maud, for having me. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, make every action count. Reflect on the insights from today's episode and ask yourself, which strategies and actions can you implement to grow your business and win more listings? Your growth journey begins with a single step. What will yours be? If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your network and help spread the word. Together, we can inspire and empower a community of realtors to crack the code to real estate success. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, Realtors Conspiracy, today. Stay motivated and see you next episode.